Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Two Mediums and a Large. As usual, my name is Lara. I am a medium, and I am here with Robbie, who is a trance channeler and Reiki master. And today we are missing out on Ashley, but we did bring in a special guest. Her name is Roxanne, and we sort of came across each other just through like an online kind of group that we're both in. And I was actually searching for people that share just really similar kind of crazy stories in their life. And she had one that just blew me away. And so we brought you on today to kind of pick your brain on this. So, hello, Roxanne.
Hi. Um, so I myself am a registered massage therapist here in BC, and that's kind of where this story starts a little bit for me.
Yeah,
Um,
so we would love to hear all the details surrounding it.
so I think of this as the story of Claudia. I feel like it's more her story than it is my story. But I was on my way to work one day. And at the time, I was living and working pretty close. And I like to give myself a good amount of time to get to work early, to go through all my stuff and feel very prepared for my day. But for whatever reason, everything went wrong that day. And I just couldn't get out of the house up until it was almost the last minute that I needed to leave. So finally, I got out and I started driving down the street. And I was really only about 2 blocks away from my own home near an elementary school. So I was going quite slow when I see a lady walking on the side of the road. And I instantly feel drawn to her, almost like I want to stare at her, but I don't want to stare at her. You know what I mean? Um, and as I'm driving past, I look in my rear view mirror and I make eye contact with her. And I stop my car immediately. Thank God there's nobody behind me. But I just
Yeah.
had to. I couldn't go past her. So I stopped and she probably thought I was nuts because I backed up the car and I rolled down my window and I asked her, "Is everything okay?" And she looked at me and she like shook her head and I was like, "Where are you going? What's going on?" She's like, "I need to go to a doctor's appointment." I'm like, "Okay, which way is your doctor's appointment?" And she points and she lets me know. I'm like, "Okay, that's on my way to work. I can drop you off there on my way." And she goes, "Okay." So she comes into my car and I have the music on and I'm just chit-chatting with her a little bit, but she's not super into the conversation. I think she's probably a little out of breath because we're going uphill. So I
Yeah.
know she's a little bit heavy breathing. Um, so at that point, I let her try and catch her breath and I just kind of groove with the music. And then I start trying to see her over my shoulder because something feels wrong. I start to feel like this tingly sensation on my body and I don't know what it's about, but something feels not right.
Yeah.
Um, I notice her breathing's it's slowed down, but it's gotten a little bit odd, a little bit ragged almost. So I start trying to chat with her and she's not responding. And I'm going, okay. So I turn off the music and I'm trying to catch her attention. She's not responding. So I change course and I start driving towards the hospital. I feel like something's really up here. I don't know what it is, but um, and then somewhere around when we're traveling past a art center, I realize she's not breathing anymore. And at that point, I pull over the car and I start doing CPR. And I feel my skin is on fire. Like it's like I have like the tingles that started in my shoulders and around my neck have spread to my entire body and it burns. Um, and somebody else noticed that I had pulled over and started doing this. And they come in and they take over the CPR portion. I run inside to go get a defibrillator. And it's such an odd, it almost doesn't feel real, where I was moving faster than I should have been able to move, but I was incredibly calm at the same time. And it wasn't that I heard somebody in my voice, but it was a general sensation of, it's okay. Don't worry. You don't need to be upset. I'm okay. But I was fighting it very hard. And I was like, no, this is not okay. Nothing about this is okay. So I come back with the defibrillator and we get her started with it. And that's when the ambulance team comes in and starts to take over for us. and they pull her out of the car and continue to do CPR there on the road. Unfortunately, it wasn't successful, and we never did get to bring her back. But there was this, it was such a conflicting because I felt like my emotions felt like this wasn't okay, but it felt like outside emotions were coming in to settle me. And I'm not sure where I got that from, if it was from her or from something else. Um, and then I had this terrible experience where they've kind of, the ambulance people have decided this is it, this is the end of them trying. And they kind of were having conversation with each other. But they had left her on the ground. And when they needed access to her chest, they had fully undressed her. So at that point, I put my scarf over top of her. Um, and I left her with it because I couldn't leave her like that. And then it was about a week later, I realized she had forgotten her purse in my car. So I was able to get a number out of her phone and call it, and it was her best friend. Her best friend, yeah, her best friend lived in the Okanagan, and she let me know that this woman had recently moved to Canada, and she had nobody there with her. That
Wow.
she, yeah, that her only friend was in the Okanagan. And I asked her if she was going to come down and see her and that kind of stuff. So at that point, I gave her belongings back to that woman. Um, and that's how I found out her name was Claudia.
Well, that is an incredible story. And when I tell you, I had like goosebumps and chills the entire time because I can sense how life-changing this moment was for you. I just like, I have so many thoughts on this. Um, and like just how things work and divine timing on things. This to me is one of those situations where there's no coincidence. It was exactly timed for this moment. So you could have this experience, so you could be here for this woman. She had nobody else with her. And you went and you trusted your intuition. You trusted what you were being given and you helped that woman in her time of need, right? Robbie, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's great. It's a very fascinating story for me because you're right. It does show how timing works, and listening to into your intuition can put you in situations that can change your life, right? Because I can feel too, like Lara said, how much this really affected you and changed your life. And I guess that's one of the questions that I would like to ask you about this is I know you said at one point you felt this calmness coming into you, like it was an outside energy coming into you. And I'd like to know what you thought when you felt that, what you really thought it was, and has it changed the way that you look at things now, just by being able to feel that?
Um, it wasn't the last time I felt that. It was probably the first time though.
Okay.
Um, and it's jarring in the sense that like you're so used to your own internal, but to have something come from the outside and be such a physical presence inside of your body is, yeah, it's intense. And for me, it makes it very clear that it's not coming from me when it's so, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think I appreciated her. I do think it was her who gave me that. Um,
Yeah.
and it was almost like her way of saying thank you. But I was arguing with it because I was like, you can't say thank you. You can't leave. I haven't saved you yet. But I don't know that that was my job either.
I mean, I think her thank you was basically, thank you for being there when I needed somebody, quite honestly. Um, because I know personally, I wouldn't want to die alone. Just having somebody there with her, I'm sure really helped her through that. So that's a good way to look at that. Has
So
this I was just going to ask, has this experience prompted you into doing anything more spiritually than you did before, or were you a spiritual person before?
Um, I grew up in a very religious household. Um, so in that way, kind of. But my grandmother, she herself was a medium. Um, when I was a little kid, I used to have a lot of night terrors, um, and she really helped me with them, and I really appreciate that because I remember my parents thought like there was something wrong with me, and I haven't experienced them at that extent since then.
Yeah,
Um, so I guess in its own way, it's always kind of been around. I feel like,
that's interesting. That's really interesting.
yeah, she was an amazing woman. She was everything to me. But I can't say I myself, uh, I'm spiritual the way that she is. She was something else.
So this is what I wanted to kind of talk to you about. And I know I have mentioned this to you when we talked privately, that I feel that this was that you are already deeply connected. And I think that when we go to the beginning of the story, this just shows how divine timing works, but also how you trusted your instincts, your intuition that was screaming at you to stop. And not a lot of people are that in tune that they will do that. So for one, I want to, commend you for that because that is something to be very proud of. You were there for somebody, you trusted the process, and you did what you needed to do in that moment. But also, as you're going on about the story, you're telling me you were able to sense something had shifted. Okay, now most of us can sense a shift, but the way you felt it, it tells me that you were like sensitive to energy around you. You were sensitive to how the energy shifted and the way you got the sensations over you. So that tells me, like, intuitively, you were already picking up on everything that was kind of happening there, right? And I feel that sometimes we have these big situations to help get us back on track with, or, help us fulfill our life purpose, right? So maybe this was the beginning of you understanding your own abilities going forward. Um,
Mhm.
and not everybody's going to choose to do something with that, but this was something that was undeniable for you. The fact that you were able to hear her speaking to you in, in your mind, and you were trusting in that, even though your human was trying to fight against that. I just think that that is an incredible way that spirit shows us what we are meant to be doing in this world and how we can help people. And I know, from our private conversations that you have a very healing side to you. And I think that goes into kind of the choices you've made in life, professionally, that you like to do. And I just think it was just such an incredible story to hear how this has rerouted you. So when we talk about your belief systems before this, you're saying that you were aware of spirit since you were young, and this would present in like night terrors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going forward, now that you've had this experience, is this something that you're going to explore in the future, or is this something that you're content with how things went?
Um, I feel like it keeps playing with me. If that,
Have you
I
had experiences after that?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Do you find they
Um,
got more prominent?
mm, there was a point after that I almost tried to push it all away really hard.
Hmm.
Um, and it kind of went quiet for a bit. And then as I came down and kind of calmed with it, it slowly started sneaking back in on me. And now we're a little bit fluid.
Yeah.
How do you
I
feel
haven't
about it? I mean, do you like it? Are you scared of it? Do you like it? How do you feel about it?
both.
Yeah, I get that. Absolutely get
Sure.
that. Yeah, absolutely get that. Yeah,
Um, yeah, I guess because of my own negative experiences with it when I was so young, there's a little part of,
yeah.
the little kid in me goes, don't do this. This is scary. This is, it can really hurt. And because my experiences now have often been around people dying, that is when it becomes strongest for me. That's also
After
a
people
part.
pass?
Wow. Okay.
Sometimes when they're getting very close.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it that like how does this present to you that you know this is going to happen?
Um, I think part of it is also my clinical experience. But I remember I had a patient last year who passed away. I remember going to her home and she was talking to me, and I was tucking the sheet around her, and I made eye contact again. And I remember that sensation of knowing this was the last time I was going to see her. And it wasn't really like a voice, but it was just a feeling. And I made sure to say my goodbyes that day. Um,
Do you find that you get into your head when this happens for you? Because I find a lot of people they have trouble trusting that. Like if they do get, that inner knowing that they have
yeah.
trouble trusting in the information that they're getting. Do you ever just not trust it?
I think I live in denial about it, where I'm like, no, she's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. You're being crazy. And I almost like knock on wood. I'm like, nope, don't summon this into reality.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
I think that that is pretty incredible how this is presenting for you in so many um, just very out of the ordinary kind of experiences that's leading you to your spiritual path, right? Like, not many of us can say we've experienced something very life changing and impactful on our emotional and mental state, right? And to lead us back to our spiritual development. Um, so I was just very fascinated with that because it's not something you hear all the time, but it seems like no matter how much you try to hide from it, your gifts just keep coming. They just keep coming. They're like, no, you're going to pay attention. You have something special going on.
Yeah. And I think it also goes to show the power of ourselves too. Like you said, there was a time where you pushed it away, and you said, I don't want to do this, because of the experiences I had, so but for those people out there that may be listening and thinking, there's no way I could be doing this, that's why Lara and I do some of the work that we do is to show you, yeah, and this is why you can't see it right now, is because you pushed it away when this happened, or whatever that goes. And there are other people out there that can do it as well. But the most important thing of that is to know that there are so many people that can do these things once you realize that you can do it and open yourself up to it. Yeah, it is scary at first. It's really, really scary. Um,
Yeah.
but once you learn, how to protect yourself, and you learn to trust in your own intuition and your discernment, that when you come across something that you don't enjoy, that you'll be able to get rid of it. Those things matter. So I hope that you do continue down this road and keep up the confidence, because the more confidence you have in it, the clearer messages come in. For me, they do anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a very good tip. I would love to learn how to create some protection, some safety in it so that I could feel more confident
Absolutely.
in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
When we get done here, Lara and I can absolutely teach you that. I mean, I think it's important, especially as you're stepping into this, that you know how to do that, because it helps. It really does.
it's not uncommon either for people, children to be having night terrors and stuff like that when they're young, right? Like, not only are our imaginations big, but we are just very open to spirit in general, right? And at that time, we don't have the conditioning that we have as adults. And
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of the conditioning comes in from our families, like you were saying, you know, um, your grandmother helped you through it. She was a medium. It's clear that like these kinds of things they do run in families too, right? Like you hear people all the time like, oh, my grandmother was a psychic and she had like lots of premonitions, and then you're like, okay, a generation over and we carry the same gifts, right? But um, you were probably very open to spirit and you weren't sure how to handle that. So having that support network that allowed you to still continue to be open to spirit enough that like you were in tune with your soul's purpose in that moment. In that moment, that was like something you needed to do. You couldn't hide from it. As you're driving down the road, like not many people would actually stop. they would, brush it off and just keep driving. So the fact that you pulled over and you knew to trust yourself is huge. And that's going to make you incredible as you develop your gifts if that's something that you choose to do.
I agree.
For me, like I absolutely in spirit, but I think I'm just that way with people, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like in
it
tune with
does.
people.
Yeah, like I had another moment, and this was years prior to that, where there was this girl, and I was on my way to school, and she was crying and screaming, and she was probably a little younger than me, maybe in high school. And everybody was walking around her. It was like she had a force field, and nobody would look at her, nobody would acknowledge her. And she was in the center having a complete meltdown. And I walked into the Starbucks that was behind her, and I got hot chocolate and some cookies. And I just went and sat next to her. And I started eating and drinking, and I put the stuff I got for her next to her. And in a moment, she started to soothe a little bit. A little while later, she picked up the drink and held it close to her. And then she was able to talk to me and tell me what was going on.
Mhm.
It turned out that she was a foster kid, and she had been given some money to go buy clothing, and she had lost the money and the wallet that she had held it in. And she felt like she was going to be put right back into the system again. Um, and it's just having those moments of humanity for each other when we're at our hardest, not being afraid of the scary times, that whether it be afterlife or in life, I think that's what draws me in.
I agree. I think you're an incredible empath. That's part of,
I was
uh,
actually thinking the same thing. I was like, wow, she's so
yeah,
empathetic.
yeah. And part of that is, empaths sometimes get get a stereotype and made fun of as, people that pick up all types of energies, but
Overly
empaths can have,
sensitive.
yeah, empaths can have some really deep powers, love healing powers, that can, I say powers, but you know what I mean, gifts to channel this energy, this healing energy through the earth. And that's part of what I feel you can do is sense when these energies are needed, and you're a natural conduit for it. So I really commend you for that you've taken on. And it's not even really a responsibility, right? Because I was going to say responsibility and I stopped myself. It's like you've taken on this self-purpose now, that
Yeah.
when you see things that need help, that's your energy just takes you there. So that's fantastic. I think that's great.
So, how do you stay true to that like authentic part of yourself in a world that is just filled with noise, right? Because you seem very grounded in who you are and like trusting of your own intuition. And that's really rare. I don't think you realize how rare that is to find somebody that is very rooted in who they are and what they want to put out into the world. So, how do you maintain that authenticity to yourself?
Um, it's not like it's not something I struggle with. I do. And I feel like there was years where I felt lost in the world.
Yeah.
Um, but when I look back at my life and who I was from like a very, very small child, like even my mom used to tell me that I would be caring for my like little cousin when I was only 3. It's just something I'm drawn to. And when I try and fight it, I hurt myself more than anybody else.
Yeah,
It's true.
I feel that. And a lot of times when we fight it, you can kind of see it, right? You can see it in the things that are happening in your life. That
Mhm.
you go with it, things are good, and you start fighting it, and all these things just start popping up. And so I totally get that.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me the other day, how do you like what is your why? Why do you want to do this work? And there's like a whole bunch of reasons why I want to do this work, but I can relate to you there. It's like it's like you have to. It's part of who you are. And when, actually, it was like my mom, she was like, I don't like you bringing like creepy things into the house. And I was like, even if I didn't do this work. You cannot change who you are.
Yeah.
I'm a medium. I can't change that about myself. I've tried to stray from it. It has never worked for me. Um, and it's kind of like that feeling of like you need to do it like people need air. Do you know what I mean? It's that where you're pulled and you can't describe why you were pulled. The same reason you can't say why you were pulled to help this woman. Just knew you had to. And that is how like the universe works with us, right? Like we set out this plan before we came here that we have all of this that we want to experience. And we're literally just walking in that pathway. And some of us we choose to fight it, but those of us that are very in tune with that, we feel that pull so strongly that we cannot shut it off, right? Um,
Mhm.
and so I just think that it's really hard to maintain that authenticity of being grounded in that approach in today's world, you know?
Oh, for sure. It's so chaotic. I think the thing that gets me is like the weight of the walls that we put around us are too heavy. I can't keep them. They keep falling. I can't maintain them. Trying to pretend that I am that other side of the wall, if that makes sense, rather than letting it fall, exhausts me. I can't
Yeah.
do it. And I commend the people who can build those walls and keep them up, but I can't. It's not for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's so hard to try to like keep up with.
And that
Um,
just kind of shows you what your true purpose is too, right?
there, you were cutting out. What'd you say? Did you hear him?
I did not. No, something
No,
about
we
another.
didn't hear
Oh, uh-oh.
you. Uh-oh. We're gonna have
Oh,
one of those
Oh no,
viral
I just
moments
said so
again.
maybe that shows you what you're.
What is happening with
the
um
connection. Oh,
you can hear me though.
I can hear you. It's because we're close.
Yeah, it's because we're close. Robbie, can you hear us? I
Oh,
feel
that's such a, I
Yes, I
see
can.
you.
okay.
Can you hear me?
I
Okay,
see you.
now we hear you. We don't know what was happening there. So you froze and
I
that was
don't
fun.
know. Who knows?
Who knows?
Are you still there?
Yep.
Yeah, we're
Alice,
here.
what are you going to say?
Okay. No, I think my internet's messing up. You know how it goes sometimes.
Mhm.
Technology at its finest.
Right.
You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm fine.
All right. Yeah, anyways, I wanted to thank you for sharing that with us. It was just such an incredible story. I knew I couldn't pass on, letting others hear about it. And I hope that with um, today's episode, a lot of people can learn to trust in those like pulls that they feel, right? Because I think that each pull that you feel is pulling you exactly where you need to go in life, not where we want to go. What I've learned is that the life that we map out for ourselves is not, or the life that we think we map out for ourselves is not always the life that is best for us. And we have to learn when to let that go. I had a lot of dreams that I had wanted to do from being a young girl, and it turned out none of that was meant for me. But what I did realize was none of that would have fulfilled me. None of that would have made me feel anchored into my purpose. And now I live a life. I'm not saying that my life is perfect or things come easy for me. There are some really tough days, but what I will say is that it it gives you this fulfillment that nothing else could fill, right? Where all those ideas that we had of what successful looks like
Mhm.
is not what was in store for us, right? Like everyone thinks successful means working yourself into the ground, 9 to 5 jobs, and having a pension and all these things that retirement savings and all these things, and that is all great, right? That works for people, but it doesn't work for everybody. And I think that whatever doesn't work for us, it is realignment into what will. Um, So I just think that this is just one of those situations where you're going to be guided to where you need to go exactly when you need to do it. Maybe your time is not yet, maybe it's in 20 years in the future, but these moments are impacting who you are going to become. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like when I saw your post, I am not normally on that site at all. I'm not normally in that group. I'm not normally why it was the first thing to show up on my feed when I opened it for the first time in a long time. I don't know, but I am grateful. And I'm
Not
very thankful for
coincidence. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with people. Um, I know that's probably not easy to go back into that moment. Also, I wanted to ask you, did you
Really
know
great to meet
CPR
you.
prior to this?
Did I know what?
Did you know CPR prior to this?
Yes, thank God.
Oh, and you were able to do it in the car like that?
Oh, it was horrible. It was not ideal. It was she was in a bigger body and I couldn't move her out. So I put the seat back as far as I could go and did as much as I could do. And then when the team of people came, they were able to pull her out and it was a better position. Yeah.
That's incredible that you were able to stay calm in that time and just know what to do. It's like you
Wow.
were on a mission, you knew how to do it, and it just came to you naturally. Um, yeah.
It was intense.
Any final thoughts, Robbie?
You, Roxanne, I think this is great. I mean, the story turned out to be fantastic for you, I think. Maybe helping you realize more about yourself and could be what your purpose is, right? Who's one to say that I know your purpose better than you, right? But I feel like you're going down the right road. And I agree with Lara that I think just the story is sometimes, you're led down a path that you never thought you would go down. And all it takes is, one day starting out bad, right? That's all it takes and to change your life. So, lean into your intuition and trust yourself. That's the big thing here is trust yourself.
I
All
will.
right. Thank you so much for today. I guess that wraps up today's episode. But we had a great time chatting with you.
It was
It was
great.
great talking with you too. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You
See you
take
next
care.
time.